Hi there, I'm back. I know it's a long time when you last heard from me. Don't worry, I didn't forget you, and today I bring you a video from spectacular Monemvasia. Before diving deeper to Monemvasia, please don't forget to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. And now, let's explore this magic place. First up is our hotel, which we have in Gefira, not directly in Monemvasia Old Town. Journey was a bit longer and not really comfortable. We just need some energy before wandering around. Hi everyone, good morning. We're just returned from our breakfast and we're ready to go for a small trip. If you're asking where we are right now, we are in Monemvasia, it's in Peloponnese area. I never had been here, never heard about this place before, and that's why I'm here, just to explore and see new places, and you're welcome with us. Welcome to Monemvasia, a breathtaking medieval town carved into a rock rising from the waters, hidden off the eastern coast of Peloponnese in Greece. Often called the Gibraltar of the East, the fortress town is a place where the time stands still. Monemvasia is found in Laconia region of the Peloponnese on the Aegean Sea. The rock of Monemvasia was separated from the rest of the mainland by an earthquake in 375 AD, leaving only a narrow tumble of 400 meters in length connecting the two. The majority of the rocks area is a plateau about 100 meters above the sea level, up to 300 meters wide and 1 kilometer long. The town names derives from the two Greek words moni and embasis, together meaning city of the single approach or entrance. Invisible from the mainland, this strategic invisibility made Monemvasia a stronghold for the centuries. While uninhabited in antiquity, the island on which the town of Monemvasia is situated may have been the site of Minoan trading port, which have been discovered underwater. During Roman times, it flourished as the most important city on the eastern coast of Malaya Peninsula. During Justinian's reign, due to various disasters, either natural factors or raids, the cities experienced significant decline. Justinian proceeded with the residential remodeling, moving entire cities' populations to new locations and often changing the city names. Monemvasia's story begins in the year 583 AD, as waves of Slavs and Avars swept into the Peloponnese. Local Greeks of ancient Sparta, which was then known as Lacedaemon, fled the mainland and took refuge on this massive offshore rock. Due to aforementioned reasons, the city authorities proceed not only to move the population of Sparta, establishing Monemvasia, but also to reorganize the settlements of southeastern Laconia. The reorganization included settlements in the mountain passes of Parnon and migration from Githyon, even the part of the population relocated as far away as Sicily. Over the centuries, it became a thriving Byzantine port and a key hub in the Mediterranean. The oldest known mention of Monemvasia dates from the third decade of the 8th century, as made by the pilgrim Velibaldos, who traveled from the Sicilian Holy Land with a stopover in Monemvasia. Monemvasia's key position on the sea road to the eastern Mediterranean made it target of pirate raids in the following centuries, along with raids by Western rulers. Arab raids began in 9th century and after their settlements in Crete, after which the raids multiplied. During the Byzantine era, Monemvasia flourished as a fortified city and naval outpost. By the 10th century, it had become one of the most important cities in southern Greece, a bastion of the Orthodox faith and imperial power. During the 11th and 12th centuries, Monemvasia experienced significant economic growth. During that period, the settlement spread around the island, not only its main site, and important monuments were rebuilt, such as Church of Hagia Sophia in the upper town and the Church of Elkomenos Christos, which was reconstructed during that period, possibly due to placement of image of Christ Elkomenos in the temple. At the time of the Comenians, Monemvasia had evolved into the guardian of the western entrance to the Aegean. In 1249, the city fell to the Franks during the Fourth Crusade, but it was soon reclaimed by the Byzantines. Monemvasia was designed as the seat of the Byzantine general and the seat of the Orthodox metropolitan, while at the same time important privileges were granted to the inhabitants, which were renewed and expanded by Andronikos Defteros Paleologos, which as an exception from inheritance tax and exception from the commerce. The prosperity of the city was rapid. In addition to increase the population, whose main achievement was the trade and shipping, conditions were created for spiritual and ecclesiastical development to the extent to the period up to 1460 is considered to have been the city's golden age. The peaceful life of Monemvasia during the 14th and the first half of 15th century was disturbed by pirate raids and internal conflicts, though they did not, however, affect its historical course under the despotate of Morea. After the fall of Constantinople in 1453, unrest prevailed in the despotate, which at the time had two despots, Thomas Paleologos and Demetrios Paleologos, who disagreed about the future of the despotate. Demetrios surrounded Monemvasia in May 1460 to Mehmed II, but they withdrew without besieging it. Then, following the advice of Thomas, the inhabitants offered the city to Pope Pius II on September 12, 1460, who accepted. In 1463, Monemvasia had fallen to Venetians. After the end of the First Ottoman-Venetian War, the part of the land in the territory of Monemvasia came under the possession of the Ottomans, affecting the island's agricultural production and trade. Later, the Venetians ruled Monemvasia twice, first from 1464 to 1540 and again in 1690s, reinforcing its walls and turning it into the thriving commercial port. But Ottomans also had their turn. In 1540, Monemvasia was surrounded to Ottoman rule and remained under their control for over 300 years, save for the brief Venetian reoccupation. During the Ottoman times, the upper town was abandoned. Monemvasia itself became known as Menekse, Menevse, or Benevse in Greek, and Menekse in Turkish, all meaning violet. It was administratively included in Eyalet of Morea. During the Cretan War, from 1645 until 1669, attempts were made by Venice to capture Monemvasia, which served as a base for the Ottoman army. In 1684, the Sixth Ottoman-Venetian War began, during which Francesco Morosini occupied the entire Peloponnese, with the exception of Monemvasia, which resisted. The recovery from the Peloponnese from the Venetians also resulted in the resettlement of residents in Monemvasia, which was designed as capital of the department of Laconia. The city had suffered significant damage and began a program of reconstructions. In 1715, the Ottoman Empire army attacked the Peloponnese in the context of the Seventh Ottoman-Venetian War from 1714 until 1718. The Ottoman fleet arrived at Monemvasia and demanding the city surrender. The city finally surrendered on September 7, 1715. Some of the inhabitants were sold as slaves as a part of surrender treaty. Others fled to the other Venetian occupied areas. After the Ottoman recovery, Monemvasia remained under the jurisdiction of Capudan Pasha. The area experienced a relative commercial and economic boom, and the Greek school was established. Some Venetians returned to the city, as did former Turkish residents. Throughout these centuries, Monemvasia became a cultural crossroads where Greek Orthodox faith coexisted with Venetian merchants and Ottoman governors. Panagia Chrysafitissa is located near the sea wall and Chrysafitissa Square. It has a large dome and narrow narthex on the western facade. The temple was built during the First Ottoman occupation and has Islamic influences. At the beginning of the Greek War of Independence, the fortress of Monemvasia was besieged by the land and sea. In 1821, as the Greek War of Independence erupted, Monemvasia was among the first fortresses liberated from the Ottoman control. But its strategic value had diminished, and the city slowly faded into obscurity. Disputes over the distribution of spoils and administration ensued, leading to anarchy. Monemvasia continued to be in dire situation for many more years, but it remained the largest village in the region and during the administrative reorganization of 1833. At the beginning of the 20th century, it was the seat of the Court of Justice, Custom Office, Telegraph Office, Police, and School Authority. At the eastern end of the island is a modern lighthouse. The lighthouse was built in 1896. A marble staircase leads to the lighthouse gate. Monemvasia continued to rely on the cistern for its water supply until 1964, and electricity arrived in 1972. Trade was carried out by coastal shipping, where products were transported to the nearest major port, Piraeus. For much of the 20th century, Monemvasia remained a forgotten relic until recent decades, when careful restoration brought life back to its stone streets and sea walls. From the 1970s, Monemvasia began to flourish again, this time as a tourist destination. The people of Monemvasia sold their houses to people visiting Monemvasia, who restored them. In 1971, Monemvasia became linked with the rest of the outside world through the bridge on the western side. In more recent history, the town has seen a resurgence in importance with the increasing numbers of tourists visiting the site and the region. The medieval buildings have been restored and many of them converted to hotels. On July 23rd, there is a festival celebrating the liberation of Monemvasia from the Ottoman Turks during the Greek War of Independence. This is a very interesting and impressive festival. Monemvasia consists of the upper town, which is located on the plateau of the hill, and the lower town, which is built on the southern coast of peninsula. The lower town is a maze of stone alleys, arched passageways, and preserved mansions. Today, it's home to artisan shops, taverns, and guest houses, many inside the restored medieval buildings. The lower town is located under the southern wall of the upper town. It is walled on three sides: east, south, and west. Entry is through the west gate, which is connected by a road to the bridge over the causeway. This road intersects with the road that descends from the upper town and leads to the gate in the sea wall known as Portello. At the point where these two roads cross is Alekmenos Christos Square, where the Metropolitan Church, the former mosque, and the Episcopal Palace, official residence of the bishop. Later on, in the 19th century, two more squares were created, the Megali and Mikri Tapia. The rest of the streets of the lower town are narrow cobblestones, sometimes covered with vaulted structures over which sections of the houses were built. Every step here is a step through time. Many of streets are narrow and fit only for the pedestrian and donkey traffic. Within the walled town, cars are completely banned. Everything, groceries, supplies, even luggage, is brought in by handcarts or donkeys. There are no street signs, only echoes of the past. Climb to the upper town once the Allied domain. The upper town is no longer inhabited, and it was abandoned after the Second Venetian occupation. The entrance to the upper town today is through the fortified gate, to which a winding path ascends from the lower town. A second entrance used to be on the north side, but was sealed during the first occupation by the Ottoman Empire. In the upper town was the Acropolis of Monemvasia, a rectangular fortress with four towers which was built in the 6th century, houses and public buildings such as churches, cisterns, and administrative buildings. Through now mostly ruins, it offers the most spectacular view of Aegean. At its heart stands the church of Hagia Sophia, built in 12th century. Its architecture is a miniature echo of Hagia Sophia in Constantinople. At the highest point of the rock of Monemvasia was Acropolis. This fortress consisted of enclosure with four towers at each corner. Entrance was made through a gate in the eastern wall. The walls were made of mudstone with a fortified mortar. In the place of southwestern town, a rectangular powder magazine was built during the Second Venetian period. Remains of buildings are preserved inside the fort. There are indications that on the eastern side of the fort there was a large hole on the southern wall, of which the monogram of Theodoro Paleologos was found. The fortress seems to have been abandoned during the first Venetian rule. The rest of the upper town is protected by the fortified enclosure on the north and south sides of the hill, while on the other sides were not fortified as they were steep and thus naturally fortified. The road with the parapet in places which had battlements and lookouts was built around the cliff to avoid the risk of falling. The church of Hagia Sophia in the upper town near to the edge of the cliff. The church dates from Byzantine times and was built according to the prevailing Byzantine architecture of the 12th century. It is built according to the cross in square structure. The main temple measures 14 by 14 meters and the dome is 7 meters in diameter and has 16 windows. The narthex measures 2 stories. The temple had a rich sculptural decoration. Part of the frescoes have been preserved. During the first Ottoman rule, the temple was turned into mosque and the frescoes were whitewashed. Restoration works of the temple took place with the restoration of Byzantine elements, but some of the architectural members had been modified to much an extent that they could not be used to those were transferred to the archaeological collection. The fortification of the upper town is known as Gulas and was built during the Byzantine period, although now the greatest part of the walls date from the Venetians and Ottoman times. To the gate of the upper town leads from the lower town a winding cobblestone with the 2 intermediate gates. During Ottoman times, vaulted rooms were built near the gate, one of which was a mosque. To the west there is a small bastion. The western wall of the upper town oversaw the main gate of the lower town. It has 2 towers. The castle also had a gate on the north wall, but this was sealed during the First Ottoman Empire with a wall which the Venetians called Mura Rossa, Red Wall. The Venetians strengthened it and placed cannon in it. The lower town is walled to the west, south, and east. The west is the main gate on the town which leads to the bridge and the harbor. During Byzantine times, the must have been incorporated into tower and protected by additional towers on which survive to this day, incorporated in the later alternations. A straight wall, cortina, connected tower to tower at the base of the cliff and another reached to the sea where there was a corner tower. The southwest corner of the wall was straightened in the 17th century with a cannon tower, while the gate was rebuilt and bastion built over it. The sea wall consists of straight sections which connected 5 towers beyond the 2 corner towers. In the middle of the wall was a gate that leads out of the town. The lower city of Monemvasia is like the other Byzantine castle cities densely built. Most houses have a narrow facade and are arranged perpendicular to the slopes of the land. These houses generally have 3 levels. The lower level has an independent entrance and was intended for the stable of animals and had a cistern in separate area where the rainwater was collected. Cistern and reservoirs were necessary as there is no natural water sources in Monemvasia. Above are utility rooms such as a galley and occasionally the bath and a fireplace. There was also this area, the mouth of the cistern, through which the water was collected. Access to upper level was by a small wooden ladder fixed to a stone base. The family stayed in this space and it has many windows. The Church of Christos Elkomenos in the central square of the lower town is a metropolitan church of Monemvasia. Today, the church has the form of 3-aisled basilica with a dome. The middle nave is raised and separated from the other 2 by pillars. The belfry is separated from the temple northwest of it. The church was originally built in the 6th century AD and has since undergone a series of modifications. You can find in Monemvasia as well mosque, which was erected in the square of El Comenos during the first Ottoman occupation. After the recovery of Monemvasia by Venetians in 1690, the building changed its use and was probably used by the Capucins as monastery. In 1715, when the Ottomans recaptured Monemvasia, the buildings became a mosque again. After the revolution of 1821, the building was turned into prison, and later, in the middle of the 20th century, it functioned as a cafe. Since 1999, it has housed the archaeological collection of Monemvasia. The entrance is from the eastern facade, where there are two doors, but only the northern one is used. The archaeological collection of Monemvasia includes finds from the excavation and restoration that took place in Monemvasia. The exhibits are exhibited in the vaulted hall on the ground floor of the building. Most of the exhibits are architectural sculptures from the early Christian, Byzantine, and post-Byzantine period and ceramics objects of daily use, while there are also small numbers of the coins, lamps, and glass objects. Beyond its beauty and history, Monemvasia offers unforgettable experience for every kind of traveler. You can swim below the fortress wall. Just outside the castle walls, take a dip in Aegean. The water is clear, cool, and calm, and you're swimming beneath centuries of history. When you will be here, for sure, you have to must try famous Malvasia wine, revived after centuries. It's sweet, aromatic, and uniquely tied to town's identity. Malvasia wine was shipped across Europe from 13th century onwards. Its wealth made it a covered prize for empires, first for Franks, then Venetians, then the Ottomans. Beyond its walls, Monemvasia offers a taste of living traditions. The cuisine is rich with local flavors, sun-drenched olives, seafood, slow-cooked lamb, and of course you will have a sip of legendary Malvasia wine at the traditional taverna with a sea view. Everything tastes better when it's made with history and hospitality. You should not miss sunset from atop the fortress or along the seafront. It's a moment of pure serenity. As the sun set, Monemvasia transformed into the fairy tale scene. The golden light on the walls, the sounds of waves, and the calm air takes you back in time. Monemvasia isn't just beautiful, it's full of fascinating secrets and stories. The towns inspired the work of famous Greek poet Yanis Ritsus, who was born here. His grave lies just outside the castle walls. If all of these information which I provided to you make you feel wonder how this place looks and feels and you want to discover by yourself but you're not sure how to get here, let me just give you some tips. Getting to Monemvasia is a part of adventure. The nearest major city is Athens, about 320 kilometers away. By car, it's scenic drive of about 4 hours through the Peloponnesian countryside. You can also take a bus from Athens to Sparta, and from there, local connections bring you to Monemvasia. There's no train or airport in town itself, which helps preserve its peaceful, untouched charm. Once you arrive, you will leave your car outside the castle gate. From there, Monemvasia is explored and food, just as it has been for ever 1,000 years. Monemvasia is not just a destination, it's a journey through the centuries of history, faith, and resilience. A hidden gem waiting to be discovered. Thank you for watching and exploring Monemvasia with me. I would love to have you along for rides. Subscribe, let's explore together. Where should I explore next? Let me know in the comments below. You can follow me on Instagram that we can know each other better. Bye and see you soon!